Hi guys, best regards from Ingolstadt. I have heard that you entered the Kamel GT Championship this year in the good old GTO car, so I wish you best of luck and a lot of success.
Best greetings to all drivers from the Audi GTO 90 Championship. Good success.
Rob Olenek took a morale-boosting first win of the season last week at Phillip Island. But despite not even having reached the halfway point of the rounds, the points gap in both championships are considerably wide. In fact, Gerber is more than a win's worth ahead of the next competitor. Will Okayama provide a chance to make it a closer fight? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 6 of the iRacing Kamel GT series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Okayama is perhaps most known for the short and not well-loved Pacific Grand Prix it hosted twice for Formula One. But here on iRacing, it's able to be enjoyed year-round with pretty much any car you could want. Let's head down to our track guide to see what it's like in these Camel cars.
All right, we've got Clayton McLeod in the GSRC Nissan, so let's do a lap around Okayama. Turn 1 is going to be a medium-speed corner, but it's still a great passing opportunity. However, the track switches direction shortly after, meaning some drivers may fight back into the following bend. Williams is a tough off-camber sweeper, and you can see drivers will be fighting understeer like mad. The Moss S is going to make any side-by-side racing pretty sketchy, and then you're immediately plunged into Atwood. The exit of this corner winds uphill, always curving. Expect the turbo lag to cause a spin or two. Now we're onto the backstretch, which is the longest straight of the track. It culminates into the hairpin, making this an extremely popular place to overtake. You'll notice there's a lot of banking through here, though. Anyone who can hang around the outside will set themselves up to defend into revolver. Granted, I'd try to get single file or else you'll be losing lots of time. Piper provides disturbingly little runoff to the outside, so try not to slide wide out of here. Then it's a short burst down to Redmond. Sneak attacks can sometimes be possible, and you can make a pass up the inside, but this corner and Hobbs create a back-to-back hairpin combo. It's frustrating and slow. At the top of the hill, once again, careful with the throttle so that the car doesn't whip around on you. Mike Knight goes by in a surprisingly fast flash. Then you're setting up for the final corner. This is critical that you focus on getting a run out of here, or else you'll be susceptible into turn 1. Hopefully you kept it together and have now finished a lap around Okayama.
Pretty quick lap around here in the Nissans, with all the speed and grunt that they have underneath them. But Adam, it is a track that we don't see as often, considering that is base content here on iRacing.
We don't, but that being said, most drivers will know this one. We continue our Pacific tour of iRacing with the circuit that is familiar to both rookies and pros. In lieu of the Hungaroring, Kamel has decided to take to Okayama International Circuit. Similar driving style to the Twin Ring Motegi 2 weeks ago, this 2.3 mile or 3.7 kilometer 11-turn circuit may be short and fast, but its features are the antithesis of what makes these historic Kamel cars happy. With all but one turn being long, medium, low, and low-speed corners are the name of the game here, and both the Audi and Nissan will struggle around this place, but in different ways. The Audi will struggle with understeer all the way around the track, while the Nissans will struggle to get the power down out of the corners as the temperamental turbo on the GTP will try to flare up a lot today. Multi-class wise, there are plenty of good races and good places to make a pass on the slower classes today, but the middle sector should be avoided as the Audis may actually be faster than the Nissans from Revolver through Hobbs. This track will test an entirely different kind of metal than last week, Joe, and if we're lucky, the results may surprise us.
Click here to find out how. Well, anyways, let's take a look at the championships, starting with the GTPs. Fabian Gerber, as I mentioned, more than a win ahead, 25 points for a victory. So even if Fabian scores a 0 and Mukanos finally gets that win he's been looking for, drivers will find themselves in the same order for P1 and P2. Antilopisto also closely following Nick. He has the speed, but he needs to get back in the game this season. Tobias Gerber, about 8 points behind him, also making a close fight between second, third, and fourth. And then you got Martin Krajcik a little ways back, but has shown some good pace so far this season. And Adam, I believe you have the GTO standings as well.
Yeah, Joe, you remember when Jamie Hall had about 8 points of a gap up to Phil Lake going into last session?
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, well, take a look at this right now. Because of Phil Lake's DNF at Phillip Island, he is now 14 points behind Jamie Hall, a huge swing of 22 points in the last race. And that means that Jamie Hall, he has a huge lead right now over Phil Lake. Phil's going to have to work hard to claw that back. Rob Olnick, after his maiden win last week, jumps up to only 26 points behind, with Ryan Lang pretty quiet. We haven't talked about him that much. Only 45 points back in fourth, and Yuka Lascala makes his way back onto the top 5 with 53 points back. Both of those are pretty far out, but we're not too far into the season. I think there's time for them to make their way back to the front.
Now, if you've never tuned in to a Kamel GT race, you're in for a good time because they tend to be chaotic. But here's the race details. As all iRacing official series are doing this season, it's 13 rounds instead of 12, and they are round 6. It's a 40-minute race, so they're doing their sprint format today, and the cars are open setup. So drivers are pretty free about swapping that setup information in this series just because they want to get everybody up to speed and get more fun out on track. They have no fast repair, though, so if they get damaged, they got to take care of that setup. And of course, there are penalties if you have too many off tracks or too many incidents out there today. Now, are you looking to take advantage of GSRC's over 1 million global monthly impressions? From official series sponsorships to commercial placements, we have advertising options customizable to suit your company's needs. Follow the link in the description below to learn more. Of course, as we let the qualifying continue around here, the drivers are having to deal with an absolute nightmare on the track. Not only is this a tough one with a lot of difficult corners, but it is 134 degrees Fahrenheit on the track surface, 57 Celsius. It is boiling out there, and I have a feeling that tire management is going to be a talking point today.
Yeah, if you think it's hot, I mean, like, this is when I'm very glad that we don't have, that these aren't real racers in real cars, because that kind of track temperature would equal something like 150, 160 in the cars for these drivers, and that's dangerous levels here. So, as we're taking a look right now, Giulio Forcolin just starting a lap he's going to try and get on the board, good enough for 13th position, but right now, Sai Andra currently leads over Timu Toika, a driver we haven't seen in quite a while here in the Kamel series.
Yeah, in fact, he's already set both of his times as Sai, and so is Timu, so they are locked in. Checking to see if any of our other drivers that are usually vying for the pole are able to put a time in. Looks like Antilopisto might be one of them as we watch Ove Trangarade come around, and he's taken 2 of his laps, and a 28.2 will put him in 6th. Jamie Hall comes to the line as well. Has Hall put in both of his? No, he hasn't put in a single lap. This first one, a 27 flat. That's actually good enough for pole.
Yeah, Jamie has been doing this lately. He's been waiting till the end of the sessions to run his 2 laps, and that seems to be working out for him. He's gotten pole in the last 3 races, so Jamie Hall proving that waiting strategy, waiting for the track to get a little bit more rubbered in, is working out for him. Antilopisto coming down. He's currently in 5th position after that first lap, and he's got some work to do. Juko Lascala is another driver who has not set his time yet. He's down in the Audi GTOs as well. Matthias Hovdal hasn't set a time either. They're coming up on 1:30 to go, and with these GTPs, they have about a 1:23-minute lap time, so anyone who's not crossing the line right now is going to have to wait.
I have bad news for Matthias Hovdal fans, though. Both laps were discounted. He is going to have to start from the back of his class and climb through the field. Considering he's one of our winners this season, that's going to provide a fair bit of excitement, I expect. Meanwhile, we watch Lascala, and his second lap puts him at a 27.0. That's going to bump him to the inside of the second row, 3rd place for him.
Jamie Hall is one of the few drivers left on track, as well as Joseph Murdoch. Alex Millward coming across the line. Alex has been strong in past races as well. We're going back to Jamie Hall, though, on his second lap. Let's see whether or not it's better. He does have a little bit of cloud cover that came across the track on that lap. Let's see whether that improves his time even more.
26.8, it did.
Holy smokes.
So 2/10 up on the next driver. Lepisto does not go faster, though. So Lepisto's done with his qualifying. I think that should be everybody. Checking. And yes, nobody is able to set a time from here. So our grid is set. Let's go through our starting order. A couple shakeups here in the prototype field. Sai Andra on the pole. No surprises there. Timu Toika starts in second, with Tobias Gerber being the fastest Gerber today. Now, Fabian will be starting next to him, so it's an all Gerber second row. He's not too far back, but surprising to see Fabian is far down as 4th. Antti Lepisto will be starting P5, and Alex Millward, who has certainly had great pace this season, will start in 6th. Laust Olsen with a nice 7th is just in front of Nick Mukanos, who starts 8th. The next row has Chris Baumann starting 9th, and the top 10 is rounded out by Fabian Jungluth. Martin Krejcik down in 11th. Not his best qualifying, but we've seen him come forward as the race progresses in the past. 12th goes to Pablo Suarez with Joseph Mudrak in 13th, Hideki Koivisto starts P14, and Julio Furcolan in the 15th position. Jerry McAreevy, a 16th today, with Trevor Kelly in 17th and Tony Hayes in 18th. Gregory Nutley and Matthias Hovdal, one of our winners, did not set times, so they will be starting at the back of their field.
Jamie Hall takes the pole once again in the GTOs, with Rob Olenek, last week's winner, starting alongside him. Juko Lascala starts off in 3rd, with Phil Lake needing to rebound and try and take the fight to Jamie Hall. He's starting all the way back in 4th position right now. And then we get down to Michael Houghton, who actually puts in a really good time for him, starting off in the 5th position, with Reed Miller starting off in 6th. Ove Trangre is going to start off 7th, with Jamie Hamill-Smith in 8th. Chris Decker starts off 9th position. Ryan Lang, 5th place in the points, is going to start off in 10th spot. Massimo Raba in 11th. Stephen Lawrence starting off in 12th spot. Yuri Giesen is going to start off in 13th. Lucas Fort in 14th. And then 2 drivers who did not set a time in the GTOs, Carlos Fonseca and Michael Haynes, starting off in 35th and 36th on the grid for all of our drivers today. 36 cars is quite a bit around here, Joe.
Yeah, it's a pretty packed field. You can see them lined up here. This is on one of the back stretches. This is leading up to Redmond, where things get really tight with back-to-back hairpins. Thankfully not taking these at speed at the start. As you can see, it is a rolling start here in this series.
Joe, I just noticed something really interesting. Jamie Hall is going to be starting on the inside row on this start, which is actually going to be a little bit problematic for him, considering the fact that these drivers the Audis take the green flag when the GTPs do, so they have no way of knowing when the green flag is going to come out. So he actually might be at a disadvantage as they come around the final corner here to Ove Trangre on his outside.
Let's hope it stays clean. We've seen some tumultuous starts at this track, including championship contenders taken out in the first corner, winding up on their lid. Poor Justin Albrecht probably wants to forget that one. As they come around the final turn, Sai Andra has control. The pace car is in, waiting patiently. He's given it a bit before the starts, stacking them up quite a bit here, and now he is gone. Green flag is out here at Okayama for round 6. He gets a big jump over Toika behind him. It's a battle for 3rd as Tobias Gerber being overtaken by his brother around the outside. Fabian manages to get into third. I'm not seeing any issues with the GTPs. Let's go to the GTOs.
It was 2x2 all the way down the front straightaway, and it's still 2x2 right now. Jamie Hall and Rob Olnick. Contact between Hall and Olnick. Olnick off track. Big shunt there. Didn't affect Jamie that much, but Olnick off track from second place. That's actually pushed Juka Lascala all the way back towards the back of the group as well. That's now Jamie Hall and Phil Lake in the lead of this race.
Some serious air from that Audi. I am amazed that that car got popped as high as it did. As we take a look at the Audi leaders now coming down the backstretch into one of the more popular passing zones, into the hairpin. Let's see if anybody makes a go. They're pretty single file, to be honest. I have not seen anybody ducking out. Very different to the prototypes who were making some attempts down into that corner. But right now, Andra leads Toyka, Fabian Gerber second, Tobias Gerber fourth, falling down one position. Antti Labisto stays put in fifth.
Yeah, the temperatures have not gone down that much, and these drivers are trying to get those tires into their temperature windows and not exceed them. That's going to be a challenge for everybody, especially the GTPs with their rear tires. That turbo is going to want to spool up and spin those rear tires a lot on these opening laps, and if they do that too much, they're going to have unrecoverable tire wear on those machines. Looks like Yuri Giesen has gone around as well in the back of the GTO field. I'll keep my eyes on that for you.
We look from the gearbox of Cy Andra. This is going to be one of those trouble spots with traffic through the Moss S's. And they come up to Atwood Curve, one of the critical corners where they need to get the power down nice and smooth. It's an uphill climb, pretty steep as you can see them crest. And now it's down the backstretch once again to the hairpin. Toyka and Andra seem to be pulling away slightly as they've pulled a gap on Gerber, and then Fabian is way ahead of those behind him. In fact, there's a battle back there. It looks like Antti Lapisto fighting with Alex Millward, who had a go at him. It's not going to be successful, though.
No, it's not. Now Antti Lapisto trying to take advantage of Tobias Gerber, who went deep into the corner, unable to do so. Millward really trying to make his way up, and look at him slide off the corner there. You can see just on the left side of your screen, and Millward really struggling with those rear tires already at lap 2 of this race. 40 minutes, going to be a while before he can get those things back under temperature. He's still fighting really hard, though. Lapisto and Gerber duking it out ahead of them for fourth.
So some tense stuff here at the start, and you heard Adam talk about it, that as much as they want to fight, they can't really waste those tires too much. We're only 3 minutes into this race. Streaming down the front stretch, we jump back instead to P4 here in the GTO class. Leskala with Miller and Trangrade close behind and applying pressure.
Yeah, Leskala just made his way past Miller on this lap, but the real battle is between Trangrade and Miller right now. Trangrade showing some great pace. He's shown it all season. Miller, though, deep on the brakes into turn 1, goes a little bit wide off apex. This might be an advantage to Obey Trangrade, but Trangrade can't get it spun, and that was Gregory Nutley spun in the sand trap.
Yeah, he just spun himself, though. He looks like he'll be able to get it going again. Another chance for a pass, but does he take it into Atwood? Trangrade, yes he does. Pokes his nose in, can't get strong enough on the brakes to try and overtake though. We'll get a second shot if he can accelerate off of this hairpin down the backstretch, but it doesn't look like the pace is there, and Miller is going to stay safe.
Yeah, to be honest, Joe, I've never been able to complete a pass through Atwood that was able to stick up this straightaway here. And wow, look at that. Reed Miller tried to go to the apex, but ended up sliding a little bit wide. That was another opportunity for Obey Trangrade. It looks like Miller just not happy with the way his car is handling right now around this track.
That is not good news, especially this early in the race, unless the car is going to come to him later. I'm not hopeful on that front. Let's go up to the lead of this class, though, because Phil Lake and Jamie Hall are at it again. This has been a theme every single round, it seems, that these two wind up next to each other and typically battling for the lead.
Yeah, and Phil Lake needs to make his way past Jamie Hall. Jamie's got that 14-point lead that he got because of Phil Lake's shunt last week, and so Phil needs to beat Jamie, and I bet he, quite frankly, was probably a little unhappy that that it wasn't Jamie that went off at the beginning of this race, even though they're teammates. He really was probably hoping that Jamie would get a little bit of a shunt there.
We've had some trouble somewhere. I'm trying to figure out where that is. It's like Suarez, a little bit of a fight, it seems, as he was off track or something.
Yeah, we're seeing the replay right now.
Comes through and around she goes.
Wow, yeah.
A lot of cars getting by. That one little mistake.
Yeah, those rear tires just want to keep going in front of the fronts there, and that was a little bit of trouble. He's now made it. He's staying ahead of Jerry McGreevy, but it's being very challenging for him. Jerry trying to make his way by.
Haven't seen McGreevy on the channel for a while. Tends to race in the SRFs. Looks like he's hopped over here to have some fun, although he's a little ways down the order currently. He's behind the 22 in the orange and black machine that you see there now, heading down the front stretch. We talked about the battle up in the GTOs, but what about the battle in the lead in the prototypes? Teemu Toika still holding on to the back of Cy Andre. And I tell you what, that fourth place start seems to have hampered Fabian Gerber, because he's still at quite a gap back from these top two. I wonder if that would be the case if he hadn't have had to pass his brother at the start.
Yeah, if I'm Fabian Gerber, I'm not too worried about that. I'm still measuring my pace because remember, Cy Andre and Teemu Toika have yet to run into the lap traffic of the GTOs, and that is going to define this race for this lead pair. These two guys and how they navigate through those Audi GTOs will be the determining factor as far as who wins this race, and maybe who goes home with their car on a trailer, because this is a really sketchy track to try and make fast passes in with the GTPs, and they really struggle with that rear end grip, and the Audis can be very fast out of these corners, and some of the newer Audi drivers probably won't expect that. So as we see Teemu Toika right on the back of Cy Andre, not really a passing opportunity this time around, but he's really putting the pressure on, and he's hoping that Cy's going to take some unnecessary risks soon.
The community has nicknamed him Fat Teemu, and he is known to be quite fast both on road courses and ovals, and you're seeing right now being able to keep pace with someone like Cy Andre despite not having shown up to broadcast races in a while. Teemu certainly showing his mettle. He's coming up the back stretch here. Let's see if he's going to be strong enough. Doesn't look like it, though he is going to pull a little bit of a slipstream as they pick up pace, getting up to 165 miles an hour down this back stretch.
And while we're watching this fantastic battle, we've got another one going on for the... Oh, wait, it looks like Alex Millward's gone around.
Yeah, Alex Millward outbraked himself into the hairpin, down to 9th place. He was in a side-by-side fight, and I believe that was with Lepisto.
It was. Antti Lepisto and him both going a little bit deep into this corner. We're going to see it right now. Yeah, Millward way deep.
You could see the hands even in the cockpit, those white gloves suddenly sawing away. He knew early he was in trouble and just had to kind of swallow that pill, get back on track. And he's, as I mentioned, down in 9th because of it. So a number of positions lost. It almost seems like mistakes are being a bigger factor on overtakes here today.
Once again, we haven't gotten those GTPs to come through those groups yet. And here's that battle between Reed and Ove Trengrade that we're talking about. And Ove needs to get this done before those GTPs get there, because the GTPs... Ove Trengrade off track there. He's now going to try and take it deep into the corner. That was interesting. I think he was trying to get all the way to the right side of the track there, Joe, and just clips the grass a little bit. And that pulls you off when you're in those four-wheel drive machines.
Yeah, you're right. I went back and looked at it, and he just had a wheel off as the curb ended, and that was enough to suck him to the right. So thankfully did not touch the wall and actually didn't lose much time. He stays right with him, up ahead of them. You can see that it's a close battle between Leskala and Houghton. Haven't really covered those two. A look to the inside from Trangrade doesn't produce anything, as we now switch the cameras over to the fight for the final podium spot.
Yeah, and what's interesting, ooh, wow, look at that Reed Miller going a little bit deep through the corner. He gets a little bit tight. He tries to power it off, ends up getting loose. So he's definitely dialed in some of that. Oh my goodness, they're getting very close here. Looks like these drivers have dialed in a little bit more rear drive to that four-wheel drive machine to try and get a little bit more rotation center corner. And that's proving to be a little bit more than Reed can handle at the moment. But Ove Trengrade shifting up through the gears. He's got to run. He's going to look to the inside. But will Reed Miller outbreak him on the outside? No. Ove is able to keep that inside. Is he going to clear him? He is. Reed cannot do the over-under because Ove's on the apex. Ove Trengrade up to 5th.
P5 now for the Scandinavian. So he sets his sights to Leskala. And the thing that made me cry out was just clipping the grass in the Moss S for Trangrade. He needs to be told this is not the rally version of the Quattro. Meanwhile, let's go back to our leaders because the GTP drivers have hit the traffic, and this has allowed Toyka to get right underneath the rear wing. They come through some of the most technical portions of this track. This is going to offer opportunities to the Finn.
I know it may look like that is Fabian Gerber tucked in behind them, but it is not. That is Gregory Nutley. He's down a lap now from these drivers. Fabian Gerber is tucked in behind Gregory at the moment, so you'll see him just coming into picture there in that white and frost blue machine. Timu Toyka putting on good pressure to Sai Andra, but Sai cut through that first group of traffic very efficiently.
Definitely did, especially in those slower corners. Now, he's going to have one at a time for a little while. Lawrence and Raba are the next two in front of them. Hopefully that should be easier than coming across battling GTOs. Just start to catch them here in the first corner. Williams is going to be a fast one. Are they both be able to get through? They do. Both are going to be compromised, though.
Yeah, both are compromised a little bit, so that means it's pretty even. And now they got Simo Rava up there about 3 seconds up ahead. So that should be an easy pass here on the straightaway as well. But then they get into trouble. They have the battle for 10th that's going on between Jamie Hamill-Smith and Yuri Giesen, who's really trying to work this out between the two of them. Yuri actually just made the pass on Hamill-Smith there, who went to the outside of the track. But we're watching right now on board with Timu Toyka as he's trying to get up to the back of Sayandra. They were not able to catch Simo on that run, so this is going to be a little bit challenging here because this twisty section is really tough for the Audis to stay anywhere but online.
Ride on board with Toyka. If you want to follow the action and cover drivers that aren't on the screen, you can check it out at our live timing and scoring. A little bit of a look to the outside from Timu Toyka, and that is at GSRC.tv. If you want to see all the live timing and scoring of every car on the track, they get around the outside going through Hobbs. Raba now left alone.
Yeah, this is very tense battling from everybody on track. There's a lot of battling going on. We're going to take a look at Jamie and Phil. They're really close together. That was that was almost an overlap there as Phil Lake and Jamie Hall go onto the back straight.
He's got the slipstream. He's closing in. You can see that car getting bigger and bigger. He takes a little bit of a look. I don't think that was a serious one, though. Both 30 Torque drivers going to stay in order. Hall leads. Lake follows. Down plunging into Piper and Revolver here. You can see, look at how tight the walls are through here. This is my worry through this section. That if drivers come together, it's easy to find themselves in the barrier.
Jamie Hall is really struggling to get to the really struggling to get the car to rotate on the center of the corner. That's making it really challenging for him to get good exits, whereas Phil Lake seems to have a better understanding of the set that's underneath him. But that being said, Jamie is just slamming the throttle down and using the four-wheel rotation of that car to get through the corner and is able to get decent runs. But I think it's only a matter of time before Phil tries something. He's going to try something into one. He just can't get the overlap.
He's making him think, that's for sure. Granted, if he keeps doing that, Hall's going to get used to it, and that'll take the edge off of trying to get your nose down in. He's awful close once again. We were hearing Adam say that Atwood generally not a passing place, but he's going to give it a try. Lake, once again, can't quite execute as they come up the hill. Oh, this is looking very good. This is going to give him some slipstream as they come down the backstretch. Is he going to cover him off? Hall takes a little bit of a move to the inside, comes back to the racing line. Phil Lake gets to the inside. He gets the overlap this time, at least in the first portion of the corner. Off of it, he can't get the power down, and look at that. Jamie Hall using the savvy track knowledge to fend him off.
And that's just why Atwood is so challenging to pass, is because the person on the outside gets a little bit more of a wider turn on that heavy banking through Atwood, and it means that they can get a good run off the corner, and that means that they usually stay ahead for the straightaway. Now, even there, when Phil Lake had the over-under on Jamie Hall there, Jamie was able to power it through around the outside, just using the four-wheel drive of that machine. I gotta be thinking, with this hot track, it's 136 at this point, Joe. The Jamie's tires are gonna be screaming for help before long.
Yeah, if you keep fighting like this, Leskala probably going to start reeling them in. But that's the first we've seen them start to manage to get side by side. Maybe we're going to see it again. Up to the inside, and he's got the overlap once again. But the track switches back here into Williams. Phil Lake has to give up the ghost on that anti-camber corner.
I gotta say, it's a good thing that these two know each other, because I don't think that that would be a move that'd be welcomed in any other scenario. He comes Phil Lake up the inside again, just can't do it. Jamie Hall able to carry more speed through there, but while we're watching this, there's that battle for the lead is still tight between Sai Andra and Teemu Toika, and traffic has not separated that at all. Two big battles going on.
Hold on this, see if there's anything that happens in here. It looks like no, they're going to stay in order. So let's jump back, because now it's the turn of our GTP leaders to come down the backstretch, and this might be the closest we've seen Teemu Toika. He's making Sai Andra sweat because he comes all the way down to the inside to defend. Toika decides to come back to the racing line. This is the reverse of what we saw before with our GTO leaders. He's going to have the outside of this corner, but the inside of this one, and Toika is going to try and keep his nose in, but nothing doing.
And there's the difference between a four-wheel drive car and a two-wheel drive car. Teemu just was not able to get the power down around the outside because he doesn't have that front left pulling for him. And Sai Andra able to maintain more speed coming through that second sharp corner that was able to give him more speed through that sector and keep him ahead of Teemu Toika. Awesome to see two different cars take two different routes through that corner and see the difference in the battle between four very, very fast drivers.
We're actually already nearly halfway through this 40-minute race. So drivers have already spent a lot of time out on track, more lap traffic in front of them, but this time this is within their own class. That's Tony Hayes up in front. Boy, poking and prodding Teemu Toika, just showing his nose left and right to try and see if he can shake something out of the number 6 car.
I think the traffic might do it here. So Tony Hayes actually stays to the outside. That's a good thing for both drivers there. Good pullover there from Tony Hayes, but now they've got Reed Miller. Reed Miller was tucked in behind Ove Trankard, but Ove Trankard looks like he had a issue with his technology, and he's actually out of the race now. So that means that Reed Miller is promoted back up to 5th. So we see him just ahead of these guys, and Sai's catching him at just the wrong time.
Yeah, and I tell you what, the guy that's loving this is Fabian Gerber. He is now 1.4 seconds behind. He's gaining ground as they both battle amongst one another for the lead and have to deal with this traffic. And Fabian, sort of notorious for being good with dealing with that traffic.
He is notorious for being good. He's actually now at 0.9. Look at that. He sees the clear track between him and the leaders, and he knows that they're battling very hard. He knows that if he just keeps that car underneath him, look at how calm his hands are on the wheel compared to what we saw with Teemu Toika and Sai Andra. I think Fabian's going to have the better of these guys if they're not careful and manage their stuff for a little bit here.
I'm keeping half an eye on this and half an eye on the battle for the lead in the GTOs. If that erupts, I'll give a shout, but right now we ride on board with Fabian and see the incredible speed these things can carry through faster corners. He starts to lose a little ground here through the Moss S, and he's going to want to catch it up, especially since they could have another battle here down into the hairpin corner. A little bit of a look there ahead of them. That's the battle between Leskala and Houghton. They stay in order.
Oh, Sai Andra goes deep into the corner. Here comes Teemu Toika trying to get the overlap. He gets the overlap, but can he carry the speed through the corner? Sai's going to try and take away the apex, and he's able to do so. They're still going to be side-by-sides to go to the next set of corners. Sai Andra tries to carry the speed, but he has to give Toika the room. Just enough room on the outside. Toika trying to make the pass. They're still side-by-side.
It's 3 left-handers in a row, and yet Teemu Toika is not giving up the ghost, and he's rewarded with finally getting the inside through Hobbs' corner. All this side-by-side means Fabian Gerber has now joined the fray, but up at the front, the important development is Toika is your new leader.
Toika is the new leader, and what a fantastic move it was. I saw Teemu Toika during qualifying really testing the grip limits of that machine, and it's come to pay for fruition. But now they've caught up to Michael Houghton and Jukka Leskala, and these two are battling for position. They might not notice the guys behind, and they're not going to want to give up the apexes either.
It's definitely holding up Teemu. And he's going to have to weave his way through in one of the trickier parts, trying to predict which way the cars are going to go. Eventually, he gets through. Everyone behind him suffering the same thing, though. And now the cloud cover starts to come over, mercifully cooling the track just a little bit, at least over in Atwood Corner. As they head down the backstretch, this has split up our lead trio.
Man, it's so cool to see these drivers, these really good drivers, cutting through the traffic with such It looks easy when you watch it on screen, but I promise you, it is some of the most stressful stuff you can do on track. But now Team Toyka, Andra, and Fabian Gerber now, who's on the back of this train, have caught up to Phil Lake and Jamie Hall, our battle for the lead in the GTOs. And those two still inseparable. Let's see whether these three separate them.
This could be a decisive moment for either of our battles for the lead. This is our two GTO leaders. Lake ahead in the green, Hall ahead in the green, Lake behind in the blue. They come on, and a missed shift maybe from Jamie Hall. He immediately tries to go defensive, but Lake saw it early. He's gonna get to the inside. This is not what our GTP leaders want, as they're gonna start to go side by side. Still brave on the brakes for Jamie Hall. They're coming up to the fast left-hander of Williams, and they're still trying to sort this out as Teemu Toyka starts to approach. He hesitates, looking to try and find a way by. It's a nightmare scenario through the Moss S. You cannot go three wide through here, and he's being held up quite a bit. Both lead battles come together in a perfect storm around the outside. He's finally going to get some clear track, and I think Toyka's going to be able to sneak through without losing his lead. Hall going to be the same. As Cy Andra gets a good run. I spoke too soon. Cy Andra to the outside as they come down to the hairpin. Teemu Toyka sends it in deep, and then it's a switch over. He's got the inside into Revolver. He's in the reverse situation of where he was before. Cy Andra, did he learn anything by watching his rival fight around the outside? He's still got a nose ahead. He carries the momentum well. They come up to Redmond, but now outbreaking him, Teemu Toyka, trying to see if he can sneak through and deny him the chance to get revenge as they go through Hobbs. Still no one willing to give way. And now it's three ways. Oh, two wheels in the grass for Teemu Toyka, and still he holds on. In fact, he takes the spot back. That's incredible.
Cy Andra just could not get the traction down, as well as Teemu Toyka, who had two wheels in the grass. But look at this, he's making more ground on him on the straightaway in the draft, but he takes it too deep into turn one, and Teemu Toyka sliding the rear end through turn one as well, as he took it deep as well. Wow, both of these drivers putting everything on the line to take the lead.
I said the Finn has been pretty fast on the oval side. I guess he's been watching videos of Earnhardt with a pass in the grass for Teemu to take the lead back. That was amazing stuff. 17 minutes left to go. I hope you still got some time left to watch this, folks, because there is lots of action, it seems, still to come.
Yeah, just unbelievable moves. And we're going to take a look at the GTO lead as well, because Jamie Hall and Phil Lake have once again come right next to one another. Unbelievable stuff from everybody involved right now. Fantastic racing from all on track right now. Look at this, Phil Lake right up on the rear bumper of Jamie Hall. Jamie just cannot get away from Phil. Phil, the reason why he was holding up those guys was he was trying to make the pass before they came through, because he thought he could get away from Jamie. Now they've got Tobias Gerber tucked in behind him as well.
Ride on board with Lake, looking up ahead. Just behind them, Tobias Gerber is playing very patient and waiting for a clean chance to get by, not wanting to interrupt this, but he's being cost a lot of time back there in the fourth position for the prototypes. They come up to lap traffic in the GTOs as well. Gerber, going to see him off to the right side, trying to get through. That's going to compromise the line of Jamie Hall a little bit. This is the chance. Oh, they come together. That's going to spin him around. He's back on track, and he gets clipped just barely. That was Mukanos, unfortunately, getting into him.
That's the last thing either of them wanted to see in that battle. I'm not sure whether Jamie was actually in control of his car when he made contact with Phil there. He wasn't. He was sliding a little bit there.
Oh, and there's the second touch. Lake not having the best of luck these last two rounds. That sends him back to fourth. Houghton promoted third, and Leskala is now in second place, but it's a 3.5 second gap up to Jamie Hall at this point. There's the damage on the right front.
That is heavy. That is heavy for Phil, and it's not heavy, but it's significant damage for Nick Mukanos as well, who was just riding around in the fifth position. That front clip on that machine is also taking some damage, and that's going to affect his straight line speed and turn in. And we're already seeing him fall back. He's now back to seventh position, dropping to Alex Milward and Nate Pista.
That means our best battle now in the GTOs is for second place, Leskala and Houghton. separated by about a half a second, and they've got a lot of traffic coming through at this point.
And Meccano's coming to the pits. He's going to try and get that damage repaired, but another thing to add to his bad luck this season. He's shown really great pace, but unfortunately just not had the luck, just like Phil in these last 2 races.
Things just never go the way of Houghton, not going the way of Leskala there. That was Hovdal, who's still in this race. He's climbed up to 8th, by the way, from nearly dead last in the field. Just got into Yuko. Now they've got Laust Olsen. Olsen are going to slip up to the inside. This will be not the best of situations for Houghton, who has to go wide, tries to cut it back to get the launch off the corner, but look at all the ground he lost on Leskala just from that one corner.
The green and white machine is Chris Bauman, who's also trying to battle Laust Olsen for position. He's actually going to get held up between Leskala and Houghton. That's actually bad for Houghton because the GTPs do not get off these corners well. You can see it now holding up Michael Houghton tucked in back there. We're watching Leskala trying to make it through behind, or Bauman Leskala trying to make it through behind Laust Olsen.
That split those two up. Leskala wants to turn in. Now he's finally able to get to the apex as Bauman sneaks through. You can see how much better traction they get. In fact, almost gets into the back of him. Bauman finally going to leave them alone, and traffic giveth and traffic taketh. Leskala is now right back with Houghton.
Yeah, and that's the trouble when you're an Audi going through those sharp hairpins. The GTPs just do not get off the corner well enough. You really need an overlap in order to make sure that you get off the corner well. But now Houghton right tucked in behind Leskala. I think if he plays his cards right, he might be able to pass Leskala in the next couple of laps. 13 minutes to go, Joe. It's gone by like so fast.
It really has, but it's not for wanting, because we've had all kinds of fantastic battles. As these two come up to Atwood corner. That is Martin Krajcik now behind them. I think they're being caught by Phil Lake a little bit at a time. Despite the damage, I think Phil might be able to come back into this and see if he could get into second.
Phil's going to need to work really hard to try and make that recovery drive work. If he can get into second place, back into second, that is going to take away a lot of the damage that Jamie Hall can do. And man, is the traffic causing the guys ahead of them problems. Phil Lake is definitely gaining for sure. Look at that. Almost a full second a lap.
Some of that, I think, may have been the traffic. Even still, it doesn't matter how, as long as he can get up to them, get the opportunity. Now their own lap traffic. Lucas Fort staying off to the side is right on board with Phil. You can see the yellow Audi trying to just kind of stay out of the way and make sure everybody gets through without interruption. Those backs up the corner. Interesting. Looked like Phil Lake just kind of set himself up to get the launch so he's not hampered down the front stretch. Even still, that is Mudrap that goes through.
Yeah, that's actually a really good strategy to get a good launch off the corner. If you have a feeling that the person ahead of you is going to try and back up the apex a little bit, you can just back up your corner, take a little bit of a wider line, and get a good launch onto that back straight. It works in the Audi, it doesn't work in the GTP because that wheel spin will get you.
There's another interruption for that second place battle. Houghton finds himself a little bit compromised, and Lake is now down to 0.8 of a second behind. Mudrap can get through before they get to the hairpin, or is he going to hold him up again through Revolver? He kind of is here. He's a little bit offline. Oh, this is not good for Leskala. Here comes Houghton once again.
Phil's there, Joe.
He really is. They're going to get interrupted yet again. Koivisto back there.
Not before they get through. Yeah, he's going to have to, because the Audis will be better through the hairpins. He's going to have to wait. But Leskala getting held up by Mudrap again out of these corners. It's the same thing we saw last lap. But Phil Lake now tucked in behind these guys, and he's going to battle his teammate Michael Houghton very hard here. Leskala's going to have a lot of work to do to try and keep both of these dirty torque drivers behind him.
Yeah, I would not want to be those two, because you know Phil Lake's got to be fired up after yet another issue, and Leskala has to go defensive. Koivisto comes in at the wrong time, and in fact, that is going to deny Houghton what could have been a better opportunity. In fact, puts him on the defense. Here comes Phil Lake with a better launch off the corner. Does he dare into Atwood? Or does he wait for the backstretch? He's going to wait for the backstretch. He stays in line.
Absolutely, because he's expecting Houghton's exit to be compromised, and it is just a little bit there. He takes a little bit of a wider line, tries to get a run on Houghton. Houghton actually got a decent launch, so that means Phil is not going to be able to make the pass there, but he's hoping that Lesko's going to get held up by Koivisto through this twisty section once again.
Down into the hairpin. It is never ending. There's so many cars out there today. Suarez up next. That's the prototype you see behind them now currently. And Koivisto hopefully will be able to leave them be a little bit as he'll get a short spurt on the power up to Redmond now. Right on board with Yuko.
You see just in the background there, Phil covering off Pablo Suarez saying, "Don't go through right now. I'm busy." Phil trying to stay up right on the back of Michael Houghton. Pablo Suarez is going to have to wait for 2 more corners to make that pass on Phil and get back up there to try and challenge Hideki.
All right, down the front stretch once again. Here he goes down to the inside. Oh, he sends it in very, very deep. Suarez trying to not drift outside, but that opens the door almost 3 wide there as Phil Lake looks to take advantage, and still nothing doing.
Houghton parked it on the apex. It's a brilliant move there. He knew that Phil was going to go for the over-under, and he just was able to park it there on the apex and keep Phil from getting that overlap. Look at him cut towards the apex there as well. Look at this. Suarez not happy with Lesko voicing it on the comms, but here goes Phil Lake with a good opportunity on Houghton if he decides to late break.
The closest he's been up to the hairpin. He does try and send it in, but that gap disappears, and thankfully they don't make contact. We're not missing much in the GTP lead. This is one of our best battles on track. They've separated up there due to traffic. Toyka leads Andra, leads Gerber, Fabian Gerber rather, I should clarify. So let's stick here. Phil Lake still hounding Michael Houghton.
Look at how close they're getting through these hairpins. It's very, very tight here as each one is better in different ways. This is very tense battling for these top 3.
So on board now with Lake onto the front stretch. This trio vying for best of the rest. Second place, that's Leskala at the front of them. I don't think we're going to see anything here. Just doesn't look quite close enough. Deep on the brakes, though, for Phil.
A little bit too deep. That made him lose a little bit of speed there to Houghton. He's looking really aggressive here. What we have to remember is that his goal is to get up to second place. It might benefit him to let Michael go up there and fight with Yuko and then try and take advantage of both of them if they get side by side. But the way that he's doing this right now, Michael's having to be very defensive with Phil, and that's slowing them both down. They're not getting dropped by Leskala much, but it is definitely affecting their gap.
They're pushing quite a pace because it's almost 20 seconds back to fifth place, rather, I should say. And a little bit of a look around the outside this time. Lake maybe getting experimental with the time winding down.
And Joe, we need to go take a look about 30 seconds ago at Antti Lapisto. He just had contact made with him and Alex Millward. That was for the 5th position in GTPs.
Yeah, and Millward seems to be a little shaky on the brakes here today. Although, oh no, this was an early braking from Lapisto. He got held up by Gerber in traffic.
And this was because of Yuri Giesen up ahead of them, braking on the normal Audi line, and you see it right there. He just got sent.
Yeah, it seemed like the first 2 cars were aware of the situation, and the last one in line was too blind to really know what was happening.
And that's something that a lot of drivers don't understand. When you're watching this from outboard, you totally can see everything that's happening. But look at how big the wing is. The cockpit is below the back of the wing on that machine. Oh, we need to go back to 3rd place in the GTOs because Phil Lake is making a move right now on Michael Houghton. They're now side by side. Phil got the overlap, and here they go up to Atwood. He's going to have the outside, which is the preferred line around Atwood to get speed. He's actually going to make the pass before Atwood.
Outbrakes him. Houghton couldn't hold him back forever. Phil Lake, with a lot of grit going on right now, is back up to the podium. Can he get to second place where he was before when he was, unfortunately, fighting for the lead?
Makanos is going to split him.
This is going to open the door for Houghton to try and come back at him potentially. Oh, Lake is having none of this. And Mukanos decides, yeah, no, I'm sorry, I don't want to be a part of that, and he abandons it completely.
Actually, he decided to go to the garage after that, so unfortunately Houghton just a little bit demoralized from everything that's happened today. But look at this, Phil Lake and Michael Houghton still a little bit side by side. Sorry, Nick McConos was the one who decided to take it back to the garage. But Phil Lake now over a second behind Leskola. He's going to have to crank it up if he wants to catch Leskola in the next 5 minutes.
So the laps are winding down. We're looking at a 1.5 minute lap times for these GTO drivers, but for the GTPs, about 1:20 minutes that they're able to zip around here. They've all settled back into position. Leskola in second, Lake now in third, Houghton in P4. We talked about Hovdal coming through the field. It's been a recovery, but I'm sure he still would have liked to have had a qualifying position. He's only up to 8th, and he's looking at 7th right now, but after that, it's a good 7 seconds up to Lepisto. Actually, no, it's 1 second up to Lepisto, so that actually might be doable.
Yeah, he's a little frustrated. I bet he's going to be a little frustrated with his performance today, but if you look at it just statistically, he's up 12 positions from where he started, like we saw in that graphic just a minute ago. That's nothing to be ashamed of, especially with the amount of quality of drivers that we have in these GTPs in this field. So Matthias Hovdal doing exactly what he needs to do. Just would have liked, like you said, to have a better qualifying.
Held up a little bit by Chris Decker. Wow, that was tight between Hovdal. A lot of trust in that GTO. Up onto the backstretch once again. That actually paid dividends for Hovdal. Here we go. Fabian Jungbluth not as good with the traction off the corner. In fact, he lifts. He knows that Hovdal's quick, so he's going to let him through.
And that is why you take that risk if you're Hovdal. That's why you took that opportunity on Decker, because that was what opened up the door to make the pass on Jungbluth there. So when you see GTPs taking big risks like that to stay within half a second of their competitors, that's exactly why. But here we go, back up to P2.
What happened to Lake? What happened to Lake there?
This was contact.
For the
Yuko
second time. Oh, Lake is gonna be steaming. Twice in one race.
All right, now
went on the attack.
Yeah, now in defense of Yuko, he was just turning into his normal apex. Phil Lake's overlap was very minimal, and with the way that the corner works, Yuko actually gave him just about a lane, but Phil, just with the angle of attack that he was coming at the corner, cannot turn that hard. Major contact, Phil back down to 4th.
So Houghton back onto the podium as well, and the leader goes by, or excuse me, that second place that just went by, Timo Toika up in the lead, about 2 seconds between the two of them. This might be a little tight on if we got 1 lap to go or 2 laps to go.
Phil's with major damage. He does not feel confident driving that car anymore, so he's going to let some of these folks by and trying to regain his composure here.
Now, which side did he have damage before? Was it the same? Yeah, it was the same one, the right front, that got clipped. So both times that car just having a horrible time. 2 laps to go now as our leaders cross.
Yeah, and Timo Toika is actually going to put Yuko and Michael Houghton to 2 laps to go this lap, I believe, as well as actually Yuko Leskola gets held up by Giulio Forcolin, and this is the battle for second once again in the GTOs, as Timo Toika is going to be approaching these guys. He might get to them this lap, but he will definitely make sure that they are on the same lap as him next lap. But look at this, Michael Houghton. He's going to avenge his teammate, I think.
We keep talking about if Phil Lake has any damage, but what about Leskola? In fact, breaking down to the corner, Houghton's very strong. There might be a little bit of damage on the toe of that number 8 machine. He does fend him off, but this is the most threat that we've seen on the fin from Michael Houghton.
That was Trevor Kelly. Carlos on the same lap as these guys, so they have every right to pass that GTP. Who actually goes way off track, unfortunately. But here comes Timo Toika tucked in behind them, and here is Michael Houghton. Look at that. Yuko Leskola's car does not look the same after that contact with Lake.
Now they're going to get lapped, I think, this time. So this is going to be a white flag for them as well, because Toika can't sit around. He's still being chased by Andra by about 1.2 seconds. Here he goes. as he takes the white flag. And our two GTO leaders, or at least battle for second place, look for an opportunity. Houghton got his nose in. Leskala said no. Ooh. Whoa! Contact between Houghton and Syandra. He knew he had to make a move, but that gap disappeared.
Fortunately, it doesn't look like too much damage on the front of Syandra. He should be able to keep going, but Leskala is not going to be wanting to give Syandra any special privileges around here, so Sy's going to have to make the pass on his own. He's able to do so. Here comes Fabian Gerber as well, who is able to take advantage of Sy's troubles. He might be challenging for second by the time we get back there.
He's going to have to get to the inside and hold him up. Houghton says, thank you very much. This is another chance for me. I thought that maybe this battle was over, but it is not. And off the corner, missed shift for Leskala. Let's Houghton through. Can he hold on to it for half a lap and get this second place? Oh my goodness. This is going to be tight. We might have all of our leaders in the same spot as they go side by side now through Redmond, but he holds on for dear life. And Hulu, I think, overtake our leader here. Yes, he is. So our winners all together is Teemu Toika takes the win in the GTP class. Jamie Hall takes the win in the GTOs. Second goes to Syandra. And then down for second, where is Houghton? He does manage to stay ahead of Leskala.
What a crazy race, Joe. Huge points implications for Phil Lake and Jamie Hall once again. Just a lot of chaos going on. And we still have a battle right now between Ryan Legman and Danny Geeson. These guys have been going tooth and nail the entire race, and they're still at it. They've been doing this for about 22 minutes, Joe.
Seventh. Remember, Geeson went all the way to the back of his field. This has been a great climb for him, especially since he didn't have the whole race to do it. It's happened a couple laps in, as he continues to threaten on the number 27. Haven't been able to give them time because of the battle up at the front. Now they're finally getting it, and Ryan Lang is going to come out the victor of the two and claim that seventh place.
Wow, Joe. I
The
mean, I know
last
the
of our battles. Yeah, sorry. Head Adam.
I mean, I know the drivers don't like this track, but man, does it produce great racing between the classes. Fantastic stuff from all the drivers today.
It really does. Let's head to a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. Stick around because we've got more action coming here on GSRC. Welcome back to Okayama International Circuit. Even if it isn't that loved by the drivers, it put on a fantastic show here in the Kamel GT series. And Teemu Toika took the win over Andra despite not taking the pole. So Fat Timu victorious, Andra with a second, and Fabian Gerber recovers to third place. So some of the inroads made on his points lead, but definitely not by the second place in the points, who had a miserable day. We'll get to him in a bit. Tobias Gerber finished in fourth with Alex Millward. A few mistakes, unfortunately, sending him to fifth, but at least he kept the top five. Antti Lepisto was in sixth place, and Matthias Hobdahl recovering without a qualifying lap from 20th to 7th. Fabian Jungbluth wound up in P8 with Chris Baumann in the ninth spot. Top 10 went to Laust Olsen, unfortunately going backwards today. And Martin Krejcik wound up in 11th, exactly where he started. Mudrak finished in 12th, and you got Koivisto in P13. Pablo Suarez for the 14th, and the last car on the lead lap, Giulio Forcolin, was P15, and Macarivi coming to join us here in the Kamel GT series winds up 16th. Everybody behind them, unfortunately, mixed in with the GTO class, which we go to now.
Jamie Hall takes the win. Tough battling between himself and Phil Lake, as well as a couple of our other runners, including Rob Olenek, who got DNF'd on the first lap. Michael Houghton coming home in second place after a tough battle with himself and Phil Lake. Hugo Leskola coming home in third, not able to climb up there into the second spot at the end of that race. Phil Lake recovers to fourth place after two massive shunts that had him pointed backwards on the track. Reed Miller gets fifth after we had another retirement from Rob Olenek there, and then we had Chris Decker comes home in sixth spot with Ryan Lang in seventh, battling with Yuri Giesen in the eighth spot all race. Jamie Hamill-Smith comes home in ninth spot with Carlos Fonseca in 10th. Then we have Simu Raba in the 11th spot with Stefan Lawrence 12th. Lucas Fort comes home 13th. Michael Haynes 14th. And then Rob Olenek and Ove Trangarade, as well as Nick Bukanos, did not finish.
Got our winner in the GTOs, or GTPs rather, Timu Toika, joining us here in the booth. Timu, what a fight for the lead. That was just incredible to watch from our perspective. You know, I made the quip that you've had some experience and some speed over on the oval side. You made a little bit of a pass in the grass of your own there to hold on to first place.
Yeah, that was a tight battle with a Sai, and it went pretty close on the wrecking side on that last pass. I didn't realize I was that far left, and I clipped the grass a bit and somehow kept it under control and held the pass.
We had our jaws on the floor. You didn't quite qualify up on the top spot. Is it hard in these machines to really get that pole position and nail the lap? Has the competition become that fierce that just it comes down to hundredths between or just the most minute of mistakes out here on track?
I'm fairly sure it was just my inexperience in the car lately, and I haven't run that much with the new time model. So and I guess Sai has more experience, and I just didn't nail the lap, and I felt like I could have given more, but I had no pace to Sai's fast lap or qualifying lap.
We're glad to have you back, because that certainly gave us a great fight and gave you a win on your return. But we joke about how much drivers tend to not like this track, Okayama. We're going to Circuit of the Americas next round. Will you be back for that one?
I'll do my best. I'm one of the people who like Coda, but only in the high downforce cars, since I feel like it was made for the F1 cars, and these things clearly have more downforce than most of the cars in the service.
It's fitting then. Well, we look forward to seeing you back for another fight between the Titans here in this series, and congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
All right, that was our winner here on the GTP side, and I believe got second place here in the GTOs. Talking to Adam.
Yeah, that's right. Michael, you had a tough battle between yourself and Yuko throughout the race, and then yourself and Phil for a decent part of that race as well. But talk me through that final pass you made on the last lap. That was intense.
Oh man, I've been hounding Yuko for a few laps, and I was waiting for a mistake. Unfortunately, it happened on the last lap. I think he missed a gear, and I managed to capitalize on that.
Yeah, fantastic battle between you guys. But one of the things we noticed today was the track temperature was really, really hot out there. And I know these Audi GTOs like to four-wheel slide when the track temperature gets hot. How tough was it to handle those cars out there today?
Well, I told myself that I needed to conserve tires at the beginning of the race, not try to slide the car out of the corners, full on the gas, make sure that I brake nice and easy into the corners as well. So conserve the tires for the end, and it looked like it worked.
And talk to me about the traffic out there, because we saw quite a few Audis, including you, getting held up by GTPs, especially through the hairpins. How tough was it to find your lane to get a good launch off the corner with these Audis and the GTPs?
It's not too bad. With the more experienced Nissan drivers, you kind of know that they're just going to go. But with the less experienced guys, you kind of have to be careful because they're not as confident getting on the gas without the turbo kicking in. So you have to be real careful for that.
And lastly, next week we head over to COTA, a historically horrific track for the Audis. What are your thoughts going into the next week?
Fingers crossed, toes crossed. Hope I managed to finish that one.
Absolutely, Michael. Well, thanks for talking to us. Is there anyone you want to thank for your second place today?
Not just you guys. Thank you for doing this amazing job. Continue to do this amazing job, and for all the Dirty Torque guys and everybody that supports us. And yeah!
All right, that was Michael Houghton, our second place driver in the GTOs, and it looks like Joe is going to catch up to Cy Andra, who finished second in the GTPs.
Indeed, Cy getting the full taste of the talent here, including some drivers who have returned as well. You and Teemu Toika gave us the action this time, and boy, I mean, did that make your eyes pop when you saw him complete the defense with two wheels in the grass there?
I didn't even know he was in the grass until I just looked at the replay, and honestly, that just makes me feel worse because I feel like I definitely had him until I had that little bit of spin up on the rear tires. I knew I was heating them up, trying to get around him, and that kind of just bit me. And then I think traffic decided the rest of that race. But whew, it was a lot of stress. I'll tell you that.
Glad you brought up the heat because we noticed very early on in the broadcast that it was toasty out on the track surface. Did you have a chance to look at that? Were you aware of how hot it was before you went down in the grid?
Yeah, and I actually made a setup adjustment to try to counter that, but I had the opposite effect of actually taking the front away from me halfway through the race, and I think you could see that from me locking up and letting Teemu by. So I think at this point I just need to have confidence in my setup and not make last-minute changes.
The track that should be pretty familiar to a lot of drivers on iRacing on the roadside because of it being base content. But what are your feelings about it? It seems to divide opinions.
It's a very go-kart track for fast cars like the GTP. I drove the Audi for the first time this week at this track, and I was having a blast. And honestly, if I wasn't trying to win the championship, I might have been persuaded to run the Audi this week. So, I mean, Okayama is always a good track. Multi-class, maybe not so much.
I can agree with you on that one. It certainly seems to provide a bit of a headache in a few places. Well, again, congratulations on at least a podium. And man, keep coming back and giving us this fun.
Whew, my heart can't take much more, but I'll come back as much as I can.
Hoping that his heart holds out. That was Cy Andra, second place. And finally, one more, third place here in the GTP class. Adams caught up with Fabian Gerber.
Yeah, Fabian, you were making your way back up to the back of Cy Andra towards the end of the race. Just didn't quite have enough time. Talk me through your race today.
It was very difficult because my plan was to hang it back a little at the beginning to preserve tires, and I had more downforce, so I assumed I will have much better tires by the end, and it actually was a bit like it mid-race. I was making up good time and actually felt held up, but by the end, when I got close to Cy, my tires just didn't stick anyhow, nothing. It was just understeer like hell, so I couldn't even get close to him by the end. And my tires were really worn by the end, the front ones.
And you think it was the tires and rather than the aero wash off the back of side that caused that issue?
Yeah, I think the aero wash made me use much more front tires than in practice, so they got much more worn than I expected them to be.
And you said you felt like you got held up in the middle of that race. Is that because of the traffic that held you up?
No, it was just like at the beginning I hung a bit back. At the end I could hardly keep up, and in the middle I felt like I could go faster than Sai and Temu. But it was just for a couple of laps until I really closed up, and then it was over again. It was I guess my car wasn't really well set up for this track or race.
Well, next week, Fabian, we head to Circuit of the Americas, and it's going to be in the summertime, so it should be just as hot as it was here. What are your thoughts going into that race?
Yeah, it's gonna be as difficult, I guess. There's a bit more space, and it's more suitable for the car because the Nissan is quite big, and it was actually too big for this track here. That's not gonna be that big of a problem, except in the twisty section. But it's not my favorite track at all, so it's gonna be very similar and very difficult for me to be a front runner again.
All right, well, Fabian, thanks for talking to us today, and congrats on third place. A hard-fought battle. Good job.
Thank you very much. See you next week.
All right, that was Fabian Gerber, our third place finisher, and back to you, Joe.
That's going to wrap up our interviews for today. And so before we get to our thank yous, we want to remind you, if you're looking to take advantage of GSRC's over 1 million global monthly impressions, from official series sponsorships to commercial placements, we have advertising options customizable to suit your company's need. Follow the link in the description below to learn more. Thank you to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcasts. We've got them listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Adam, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media, where our Twitter is @GSR Channel, Facebook is Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Graham. We've got a merchandise store. It's linked in the description below as well. That's gsrc.storenvy.com. There you can pick up some swag so to show your support for GSRC. The next race is going to be at Circuit of the Americas, as we mentioned. That'll be Saturday, July 25th. That'll mark the official halfway point of this season with an odd number of races. 1 p.m. Eastern will be when that kicks off. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. And also coming up in just a little bit of time, we've got the Jeddah Rally Cross Cup, charity racing that we've been covering all season long. However, until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.